Hi friends, welcome to next session on RHCSA series on CentOS 8 or RHEL 8, brought to you by skillpedia.co, a platform for online learning and teaching. There are various courses on various technologies like cloud computing, databases, Linux, core technologies, DevOps and more. A lot of blogs also available which are nothing but hands-on examples, hands-on lab sessions like networking on virtual machines, virtual machine virtualization with KVM, OpenStack Victoria 3 node cloud setup, and all these lectures are there. Plus course contents, you can see under courses, all courses and course content to see what all courses I offer and what are the course content for that, what are topics I covered in those courses. Without wasting time, let's start the session. The session is on RHCSA certification series. Session number 10, important commands and command line tools. My name is Ram. This is part 2 and the last session of part 2 of this RHCSA series, where we are talking about virtual machine and automated installation plus some important commands and command line tools. Previous lecture we talked about SSH and SCP. This is session number 10. The agenda of the session is some commands like echo command, pwd command, exec command, export, history, alias, exit and logout. Then manual and info pages, converting tabs into spaces, the head and tail command, merging lines with paste, breaking a file into pieces using split command, translating characters with the tr command, then reporting or deleting duplicate lines with unique and sort command, extracting text with cut command, reformatting files with fmt command, formatting content with pr command, and some command line tools like telnet, nmap, mut, then mail, elinks web browser, ftp, that is lftp and sftp to access the urls. Lot of things. Let me give a quick demonstration first before we start the session that will help you in understanding and recognizing the session. Let me start. So you can see this these are two machines for testing purpose. If we talk about nmap and telnet, there's some commands required at other machine also. So we have server 1 and tester 1, and both the machines are accessible from each other. So let's start with the exec command first. If I start VI editor normally, let's say VI followed by a file, let's say test, it will open the file and it will be there in the shell, current shell. If I exit from the file, I will be returned to my current shell. This was done by a call called fork, F-O-R-K. If I switch to another shell, let's say sh, and I do the same thing, test, alright, this will fork another shell, and I exit from the shell, I will return to my shell, which is born shell, sh. However, if I use the word exec before it, it will not fork the shell, it will not make a fork call, rather than it will make an exec call. What will happen is a strange thing, it will replace the born shell, that is sh, and when I exit from this VI editor, I will be back to my original shell and I have exited from the born shell as well. This is the difference between exec. So exec basically replace the current shell. Child shell is not created. Process ID of the parent is taken by the new shell which is forked. So we call it as replacing the existing shell. Second is echo command. Echo is used to display matter. Hey there, for example, this will display the message whatever I type. However, interestingly, if I type today's date is, and I can use back quote to include a command called date, for example. So this will substitute the command date and it will echo along with the date. Whereas if I put it in a single quote, This will not be replaced and it will be displayed as it is in single quote. So single quote, back quote, double quote, and then there is another interesting thing is backslash. And if I use this backslash and I use double quote here, normal double quote in rest of the commands, that will this back quote is actually escaped, and this backspace in such situation is called back quote, or we also call it as escape character. In this case, the today's date is that date itself is displayed. You can see back quote is displayed here. So this is displayed back quote here in this case, and it has not passed. So you can see that it is displayed. Even if you put it into double quote, it is escaped. It is not passed. So this backspace is also used for line spacing. For example, vi test and followed by, I want to put a space here and I can use file. So in such situation this space is escaped, which means I will be able to create a file, okay, with space. Now if you look at, there is a file with the space in it, though it is not advisable ever, but then this can be used to create files with spaces. The back quote, there are 4 quotes in Linux: one double quote, second single quote, third this back quote for including commands, output of the commands, and the fourth one is the backslash. We also call it as a quote. These are fourth quote. So this is the commands, echo command to display. Like you can also use variables. If you have some variables like path, it will display the value of the variable. So though it will not display the value of the variable, if you don't include dollar sign, it will display it as it is. Like if I type a is equal to 10 and I type echo a, it will not display. But if I type $a, it will display the value of the variable. Echo command is very powerful to display the content as it is, or to display something on the terminal, or echoing back. Another interesting fact about echo is that when you type echo command with -n, you will remain in that line and it will not display the prompt in the next line. Prompt is displayed in the same line. So that is another interesting fact. Like if I type echo $a, instead of that I type -n, it will display the current value, and the value is displayed here and the prompt is displayed in the same line. So new line is not feeded with the echo command. That is echo command. Next is pwd, present working directory, where you are working right now. That is a pwd command. We will tell you where you are working right now. That will display the variable, the location where you are working. Like if I type desktop and I type pwd, it will show the current directory where I am working right now. That is pwd command. Similarly, cut command, cut, I will talk about it. So these are some of the commands which are interesting commands, which we need to discuss and which I'll have in this session. So echo command, as I just demonstrated. Echo command display the string of text. I demonstrated it. pwd will show the current working directory. Exec command I explained. The normal is a fork, which will create another child shell. We call it as a child shell is created from the existing shell. So parent of this shell is this shell. So we have a concept of parent child. Whereas in exec it replaces the existing shell. There is no concept of child shell created. Similarly, export command is used to export the environment variables or variables to environment. I will demonstrate this, but export basically, if I remember, I just explained one example of a variable a is equal to 10. If you put export before that and you go to another shell, like I just switch to sh, that is bourne shell, and you try to get the value of a variable with echo command, with export you will be able to get that. Otherwise the value of the variable a is not available inside any called shell. History will display the command history. By default bash stores last 1000 commands, but this can be changed by using hist size variable. This is environment variable. This can be defined in either etc profile or etc bash rc or etc.bash rc. Anywhere you can find this variable hist size. Then alias, Alias is another name or a dummy name or a nickname, or you can say any other name as the dictionary meaning of alias. With no argument or with argument P, it will display all the aliases which you have in your system in the form of alias name is equal to value in the standard output, that is terminal. When arguments are provided, an alias is defined for each name whose value is given. For example, alias-p will display the value of all the aliases, and if you define alias ls, and with this if you want to define it, you can define alias. Whenever you type ls, it will actually execute this ls hyphen color is equal to auto. Exit, it will exit and log out, both terminate the current shell. Exit command terminate any shell. Interesting point is exit and log out both can terminate the shell. The difference is exit command will terminate any shell, whereas logout will terminate only login shell. That is when you initiate a text mode login. Logout will work only there. It will not work if you log out from another shell. I'll explain this alias, exit and logout. Let me demonstrate these commands. See here, first is alias. So it will display all the aliases which you have in your system. So you can see these aliases are there. When you type mv, it is actually executing mv-i. When you type rm, it is actually using rm-i. Similarly, if you type l dot, it will actually execute ls-d star color is auto. So like you can type l dot. So it will execute the directories only. It will display only the directories. Meaning, look at this. It will display only the directories or the file that start with a dot. Sorry, not files. I'm sorry. It is display only the directory, the file that start with dot or dot files. We also call it dot files. Similarly, when you type ll, it will actually execute ls-l color auto. If you want to define, you can define it. For example, alias dir is equal to ls-ldr. If I define this way, then I can type dir command and it will execute ls-ltr. So that is basically the concept of alias. Now the next part was export. I'll show you the concept of export command as well. If I declare a variable a, which I declared, in fact, I can type the value, check the value, echo $a, and I'll see the value of 10. I declare another variable with value 20, but this time I export it. Export b is equal to 20. Now I switch to another shell. If I try echo $a is not available. If I try echo $b is available. Why? Because it is exported and it is available in the all called shells as well. That is the meaning of export. So generally whenever you declare a path, you export it. So that path is available in every shell which you fork or which you switch to. If you want to display all of these exported variables or environment, you can type env command, and then you can type more to see the pagination or page wise list of the environment variables which are exported actually, and these are all the variables available. Alright, so and the home directory. So these are all variables, and good thing is you can use even grep. Like if you exit from here and use env, then grep. So you type hist, for example. So it will give you all the variables which are of type which have hist in them. For example, hist control. So this is the variable, environment variable, and hist size is 1000 as I was talking about. So this is another thing. Now the exit and logout. If I switch to another shell and I type logout, it will not work here because this shell is not login shell. However, if I type exit, it will work here because this is not a login shell. Exit works in both. Let's switch another way. If I type exit from the current shell, here if I type exit, okay, it will close this shell because this is login shell. I don't want to close because this is currently logged in shell, so I don't want to close it. If I type logout, this will also work here because that is a logged in shell or login shell. So logout will work only if the shell is the login shell or with which you have logged into the system. That is the login shell. So let's move on. Next is man pages and info pages. Manual pages is for assistance for help. Man pages or manual pages provide help about the commands. In addition, these are also there are also manual pages for important files like init tab, fs tab, host, to name a few of them. So that's what we have. Library function, shells, device, and other features. So if, for example, if you want to take help about the uname command, you can type man uname, or you want to take help about the init tab file, you can type man init tab, right? Or if you want to take help about any other file, you can specify that. Info is also used to read information documents, can also be used to for information about command, for example info ls command or info cut command. So info and manual pages are for your assistance, for your help. Converting tabs into spaces. So sometimes text files contains tabs, but programs that need to process the file don't cope well with the tabs, or maybe just want to convert tabs into spaces. That's where the expand tool provided by Core Utils RPM comes into handy. For example, if a file names.txt contains tabs in it, we can replace tabs with spaces by expand hyphen tabs is equal to 1 and the file name. Unexpand command perform the reverse operation. Head and tail command. So let me demonstrate this head and tail command as well as expand command or the expand command or the unexpand command. Let's demonstrate. So let's create a file. Let me create a name Ram. I'm pressing tab key. I'm using tab key to separate spaces here. Another I'm typing the website tab skillpedia.co, and I use tab key here and tab another tab online learning. Now I save it. If I use cat command to display the content of this file, you can see the tabs are clearly visible. These are the tabs, which is actually 5 characters, of course near the boundary. See, if I use expand, alright, and hyphen tabs is equal to 1, and then I type names.txt, the tabs will be replaced by spaces. You see the difference. This tab is replaced by space. This tab, because there were 2 tabs here, this is single tab. Tag is replaced by space. Similarly, another tab was here. So tabs are replaced by spaces. That is the meaning of expand command. Similarly, head and tail command. I have a file here, this passwd file, which I copied from etc to demonstrate few commands. So if I use if I want to find out first 5 lines or first 10 lines, I can use head command, head, and let's say passwd. This will display top 10 lines. Tail will display bottom 10 lines. Right? Now what if I want to display line number 10 to 15? There's a trick, and trick is what I'll display is I first type head hyphen n 25, and then I use piping symbol tail, sorry, the file name, I missed the file name, passwd, and then tail, and I want to display last 5 lines. So it will display from line number 20 to 25. If I want to display from 10 to 15, first display me top 10 lines and then display me bottom 5 lines out of those 15 lines. So this will give me line number 10 to 15. So I need to provide hyphen n. So this will display the lines from 10 to 15. That's the command, head and tail command. Very interesting. But the best part of tail command is tail hyphen f, and where log messages. If I try this kind of commands, this will display the input as the file is being populated, because this will refresh the content after every 5 seconds. To see the effect, let me try to log in server 1, sorry, SSH server 1 from my tester machine, and I type yes, I type wrong password. If I get some message, that message will go into some other file. I got it. The file message will go to some other file. But if see, I got the message here as the file being populated, new session created, because I logged in. So the best thing about this tail command with hyphen f switch is it will freshen the content of the file. What is the use case? Troubleshooting. Whenever you are working on a server, you start a service and the service failed to start, what would you do? You would prefer to monitor the logs as the contents are populated in the messages file or the log files corresponding to that service. That's the best use case of tail command, tail hyphen f. Let's continue. So head and tail demonstrated. I demonstrated this use case also, tail hyphen f, and is particularly useful when monitoring a log to which data is being continually added. Paste command is vertically paste, like this is one column, like for example if we have a file where we have only the names, alright, and there is another file where we have only the phone numbers. Now paste command will do vertically join the two files. So the names taken from this, phone number taken from this, and the next new file will have name and phone number. What will be the separator? That will be defined by hyphen d, like equal to sign. In this case it will be equal to sign, or if you define d colon, it will be separator will be colon. So whatever you specify, that will be taken as a separator, paste command. Alright, so in this case field separator is equal sign in both the cases. I don't think I need to demonstrate it. I'm sure you got the idea. Breaking files into pieces with split command. Split command is used to split a file into two or more separate files. Why do we need it? The use case is when you have a very big file, let's say 10 GB file or 20 GB file or 50 GB file, and you have multiple pen drives, but you don't have a single pen drive where you can accommodate the entire file. In that situation, you would prefer you break this file into pieces. Based on the lines, based on the size, based on bytes, you define the criteria. So the splitting can be defined by size, chunks, or number of lines, and the resulting file can have a numeric or alphabetic suffixes. For example, if we have the file bash.pdf, we want to split this file into 50 KB each. I can define hyphen b 50 KB using numerical suffix, that is hyphen d. The command would be split hyphen b 50 KB hyphen d numerical suffix bash.pdf, and initial name is bash underscore. So resulting file will be bash underscore 02, bash underscore 03, bash underscore 01, and so on and so forth. If you want to recreate the original file, you can simply use cat command. Cat all the parts, then output redirection and the file name. That is a split command. Translating characters with the tr command. Sometimes it's very interesting, a very handy command when you want to convert lowercase to uppercase, or you want to replace a specific spellings with another one. So that is a translate command. Tr command can use to translate or change characters on one by one basis, or using character ranges. For example, to change all lowercase a to uppercase a into file 2, you can use cat tr small o to uppercase o. You can also use the all lowercase to all uppercases cat file 2 tr and the range a to z. Let us see both the commands. First is the split command, and second is, in fact split is okay, I don't think I need to demonstrate, but this tr command is worth watching. Let's watch it. So tr names.txt, and I want to convert uppercase r to lowercase r. Extra argument Okay, you need to specify the cat command, cat names.txt, and then translate uppercase R to lowercase r. So you see the RAM is converted to this. Similarly, if you want to convert all lowercase letters to uppercase, you can specify small a to small z space uppercase A to uppercase Z. It will convert all space small case letters to uppercase letters. That's a translate command. Unique command, reporting or deleting duplicate lines with unique. But then this command is of no use without sort command. Why? There is a reason for it. Unique command display or remove duplicate lines from a file writing to standard output, that is terminal. But problem is it will not detect repeated lines unless they are adjacent. They need to be adjacent. So therefore it is used with sort command. Sort takes the first field separated by spaces as the key field. If you want to specify a different field, you can specify hyphen key, and that is hyphen k. So cat file name, sort file name, and then unique with piping symbol, or second field you can use k. So you define with k field number 2. So you want to sort on field number 2, and then you specify unique. Let's try this hyphen k field and sorting the file. So we have a file sort hyphen k field number 2 and then pass wd. Why I use pass wd is because my pass wd file has got numbers. The second field is the numerical value, but I need to specify hyphen n for specifying the sort as numeric sort. Now you see here from this file, let me use with piping symbol more so that you can see page wise. Now see from here, field number 3, it's not field number 2, it's field number 3. So let me use field number 3. See the difference? This is field number 3, field number 1, field number 2, field number 3, and 173, 348 hyphen n. It's not sorting. Why? Okay. Let me see. Field separator. Okay, I have not given the field terminator. What has happened in this case? There's no point using this. I got that region is I used numerical sort, but the field separator I have not given. So it is sorting on field number this number, that is the character. So I must specify the field separator. So let me specify the field separator hyphen t, and then you see the difference. Now it is sorting on 0, 107, 100, 11, 1, 1, 2. Why? Because it's not numerical sort. Now I can add hyphen n to make it numerical sort, and you see the difference now. It is third field numerical sort. That's the precisely what I wanted. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You see it is sorted on the field number 3. So interesting point is you can see hyphen k means the field separator, and then you specify the column separator with colon, and then hyphen n for numeric sort and the file name, and piping symbol more to display the content page wise. Now I have another interesting command which is make it beautiful command, cut command hyphen f field number 1 comma 3 and comma 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, field number 7, 137, and hyphen d is delimiter, that is colon, and pass wd. This will show me only 3 fields: the first field, the third field, and the last field, which actually gives me the username, the user id, and the shell. Now if I want to sort this, or let me find out only the last field, that will be more interesting to watch. Only field number 7. Now you see there are various shells. It displayed only the shells of all the users. But now the sort command will make it beautiful. Now I use sort, okay, and then it will sort it. But a good thing is now I want to pass it to unique. Unique command. Now it will display only the unique shells. That has given me essentially a very good example how many shells my system is using. Look at this very good example. We got what all shells my system have. My system has bin bash, bin false, bin sync, sbin halt, sbin no login, and sbin shutdown. These are the shells by default allocated to different users. That is interesting to observe. Similarly, what all groups I have, I can check the group file with field number 5 or field number 4 I think, and the file name is etc group /etc/group. That will show me the actual group available. It is not, I think this is field number 4, it is field number 1, the group name. So these are the unique groups I have. So that's how you can use unique sort cut command, because I use the cut command here to vertically capture the columns from a file, text file. That is -f for field number, -d for delimiter, and the file name. Once again, without sort, let's get this command in detail once more. One more example. Pass wd, field number 3 to 5, that is 3 4 5. You can give the range like this, and then sort -k on field number 1, because after field number 3, third field becomes the first field. And then I want to pass -n, that means make a numerical sort. So this gives me a numerical sort of all my users. So sorting numerically 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, right? So that is interesting use case of cut command, and then sort command, and then of course if required based on the other command, the unique command. So we have done a sort command, sorting with k, and then unique command also. Cut command I demonstrated, cut -d, field number, and the file and the range of the fields also, that is vertically fetching the data. You can even decide based on the bytes or characters or fields. I used -f, by default it is -f only. FMT is used to clean up files with a great amount of content or lines, or with varying degree of indentation. The new paragraph formatting defaults to not more than 75 characters wide. You can change this with -w, that is width option, which sets the line length to be specified number of characters. For example, if you use fmt command to display the content of etc passwd file by setting the width of each line to 100 characters, you can use fmt -w 100 characters etc passwd. I don't think I need to demonstrate. You understood, you can try it yourself. PR command will paginate and display in columns one or more files for printing. That's very interesting, like ls-l, ls-a /var or /etc, and then important point is this pr-n. Very interesting is pr-n columns 3 -h header files in /var. That gives you a very presentable way of displaying your content. Let's see this. See the content. I've typed the command once more. Let me try. So the command is ls-a /var print -n columns, that is pr means print formatting, -n, that is numerical, given the number lines as well, line numbers, 3 columns, and with the header files in var. And let's see that. You see it gives the date and the numbers with the file names and the heading which I specified, and page number 1. This is handy when you specify for the purpose of printing. Like if you want to send it to printer, then definitely it makes sense. Like right now it was only single pages, right? But if you use, then it makes beautiful way to present the file in a printable format. So with proper heading, right? This is handy when you try to display the content in a proper format for the purpose of printing. You want to remove this numbers, that is line numbers, you can use this. And you want to specify two columns, you can specify two, and this will display in two columns. If you want to display four columns, you can use display columns is equal to 4. This way you can display the lines in a proper format with proper headings, and that's a very good command, handy command for printing purpose. So let's move on. Important command line tools: telnet and map to verify remote access to open ports, mut as an email client to verify functionality of email server, and e-links as a web browser to make sure web services are accessible, and FTP, that is LFTP or SFTP, to access FTP server with command completion. Let's understand these tools. We don't call them as command, whether prefer calling them as tools. So let's look at these tools. First is telnet. Warning: when you use telnet and you supply user ID and password, they travel you in plain text, not at all safe. So don't use it for remote access of your machines. It is only used for local testing of your services. Like if you want to verify working of local mail server, you use telnet. You want to verify local working of FTP server, you use telnet. It's a powerful tool. People who use telnet to log in to remote servers do transmit their username and password and other commands in clear text format. Anyone with protocol analyzer such as Wireshark can read the data fairly easily. When run locally, it can verify the operations of a service, and that's what the purpose is. That's how you should use it. For example, telnet localhost port number 21. So it will give this kind of message: trying connected to localhost, escape character is this control plus caret symbol plus bracket close, and then you will get this kind of message: escape character this, control key is the right square bracket and with the control key plus right square bracket simultaneously pressed, and you get this. When you type this, you'll be back. In most cases, you don't even need to execute the escape character. You can simply type execute or quit from the prompt. So this is a telnet command. Then if VSFTP server is not running or has not been configured to communicate on port number 21, then you will get this kind of message like: trying telnet connected to address this, connection refused. If there is no firewall, you will get the same result from the remote system. If the firewall is blocking port number 21, you may get the message to this kind of message: connection to this, no route to host. Let's verify telnet. Okay. First thing is I need to verify telnet server on this command: yum install telnet. If it is not installed, I must install it. Similarly on my tester machine also. In this case, it's already installed. Yum install telnet and map, because these are the commands, and mut. I need these commands for demonstration. They might not be installed by default on my local machine. Okay, so let's try telnet server 1. Server 1 port number 21. Bash command not found. Telnet not installed. Let me install it. Telnet -y. That is interesting thing about, if one package is not found, it will not going to install that. And map, in fact mut. So now if I try to reach telnet from the local machine, telnet localhost port number 21, you'll get this message: connection refused. Why? Because the FTP server is not there. So let me install VSFTP. Yum install VSFTPD -y. So let me check the status. System CTL status VSFTPD. It is not running, so therefore let's start it. Enable -- now. This will do two purpose. One, it will enable it so that the service is started on reboot, and second, it will start it right now. So now you can check the status, it is running. Now let's try to connect using Telnet on port number 21, and we are connected. So from this machine I am able to connect, and I can issue the command on this Telnet server. So I can simply type quit. To quit from here, the connection is closed because I don't want to continue. But if I try the same thing from this machine, Telnet server 1 on port number 21, no route to host. Why? Because the firewall is blocking. So let me open the firewall on this machine. Firewall -cmd -permanent -add -port is equal to, let me add few ports, port number 21, 22. Both the ports are TCP ports. I can open multiple ports like this, and let me reload the service. Now if I try to reach, I will be able to connect, and now I am connected. So this is the message when you try to connect from the remote machine to this. That was the purpose of Telnet command. And you can try the service, you can try the other commands. We are not interested in trying the other commands right now. Our focus is what message you will get and how to access the remote machine. So we have seen this message, no route to host, when the firewall was blocking. Services such as postfix email server are by default configured to accept connections only from the local system. In that case, with or without a firewall, you will get the connection refused message when trying to connect from a remote machine. Nmap. As such, the website of the Nmap developer says that when used improperly, Nmap can get you sued, fired, expelled, jailed, or banned by your ISP. Horrible. Because it is a port scanning tool. Should never use it until and unless you are allowed to use it against the system you are trying to access. Nevertheless, it is included in the standard RHEL 8 or RHEL 7 repositories, and it is supported by Red Hat for legal use. So you can try Nmap local host, and that will allow you to see what all ports are open. And for example, if I try Nmap localhost, it will show me what all ports are open on my system. That is the use of Nmap command and Nmap port scanning tool. Let's verify. Nmap localhost, and this will display the content. So these ports are open. If you notice, I just opened these ports right now in using firewall, port number 21, 22, right? And these were existing, these were already open, previously open. So this will show what all ports are open and not shown 99, 996 closed ports. So this is the command, which is a port scanning tool, and to check what provides, let me see, yum, what provides Nmap. That will give me the package name, and I can install. There's a typo, what provide PRO. So the command is Nmap and is provided by Nmap RPM. If it is not installed, you can install it. So this is port scanning tool, Nmap. Command line tool, that is MUT. Command line tools are useful for testing the functionality of standard email server services such as postfix and sendmail. For example, once a server is configured for post office protocol, that is POP email, even email that is delivered using near ubiquitous version post office protocol version 3, it can be checked with the following command: MUT-F POP and then username @hostname. The system keep each user's mail in var mail directory associated with each username. Users who read messages with email utility can reply, forward and delete associated messages. Methods of using mail: Mail command is also can be used. Mail readers such as MUT and Mail, both are the utilities, can be used to send messages. If a simple mail transfer protocol, that is SMTP server, is active on the local system or for the local system, there are two basic methods for using mail. First, you can either enter the subject and then type the text of message. For example, mail Sangwan. The moment you press enter key, it will ask me the subject and then type the message. Once you are done, press Ctrl D for end of file marker and then you will be back to the prompt. That will send the message on the user Sangwan. Second, you can redirect a file such as text of an email to another user. For example, this command sends a copy of etc host to the root user on server 1 with the subject name of host file. So mail-s host file, input redirection etc host and root at server1.example.com. Let's try this command. I will try this command from my tester machine. So I typed mail-s host file etc host server root at server1.example.com and the mail command not found. Install package mailbox. Yes, install it. Proceed with the changes. Yes. Okay, let's try once more. Yum install mut. So this is installed. Yum install mail. And interesting thing is you can unable to find. Okay, let me try what provides yum what provides mail. That will give me the package name and I can install that package. The package name is different, then you don't have to worry. Mailx, it is Mailx. So yum install Mailx. It is already available. So why it is not working? So I typed something wrong in that command. Alright, let me verify. Mail hyphen s and now this. Let me change this because there's something wrong with this. Let me try. Subject is, I type hosts file and then input redirection /etc /hosts and I pass it on to root at server1.example.com. Port drop warning, unable to look up public pickup, no such file or directory. Alright, I'll send another file, no problem. So let me use some local file. Another important point about this is you can check the mail on the server using typing the simple command called mail, and that will show you, oh, here also it is not installed. Yes, install it, man. The package itself is not installed, so now it is installed. Now you can try mail, no mail for root. Let me say use the same command and on this system. Mail hyphen s host file input redirection /etc /hosts at why it is displaying me this morning post drop warning, unable to look up public pickup, because it's probably using a resolver, local resolver. If I use localhost, will that work? Surprising, but the command is okay. Let me try it directly. Mail and simple username is root. Subject test message. Hey Ram. Control D to finish. Unable to look up public pickup. That means there's no such file or directory. So that is another reason working. Reading mail messages. By default, mail system does not open for user unless there is actual email in the appropriate file. Once the email is open, user will see a list of new and already read messages. If you open the mail system for an account, you can enter the number of messages and press enter key. The number means the message number 1, 2, 3. If you press enter key without any argument, the mail utility assumes that you want to read the next unread message. To delete a message, you can use D. To go to a specific message, you can delete D followed by a specific number and delete the specific message number. Mail message can be read from user specified file in var mail directory. The files in the directories are named for associated username. Using of browsers. Graphical browser, everybody aware. I think I need to demonstrate that and help you, because by default RHEL 8, CentOS 8, Oracle Linux 8, they all have Firefox browser. So, but the graphical browser should be very trivial for any serious user of Linux, because they don't get opportunity to access browsers using GUI, because you may not always have access to the GUI, especially when you are working on a remote machine. In such cases, text-based browsers work more quickly. The standard text-based browser for Red Hat is eLinks. Once the package is installed, you can use it from the command line to open the website of your choice. Lynx and eLinks, there are two browsers, LYNX and eLinks. These are available in code ready repository in CentOS 8 or RHEL 8. This repository can be enabled using this command like subscription manager repos enable code ready builders for RHEL 8, and then you install it. By default, if you try this command will fail. So I have installed them, and I have included the screenshot in the next slide to help you understand this demonstration. So this is the outcome of the command elinks google.com. To exit from a link, you can press escape key, then that will give you the menu bar, and then press F or X to accept the prompt to exit from the browser. QP can be used as a shortcut. This is the screenshot. eLinks browser, Google open in the eLinks browser, and here you can search whatever you want to search. Let's take a look. So in my case, it is already installed eLinks, and it opened the URL which file you want to open, www.theskillpedia. Let me open skillpedia.co, skillpedia.co, and I press tab key and open the website. And this is text based browsers, making the request, receiving the data, and this is how it opens. Q to quit, yes. Open another website, google.com, and it will open google.com browser. So this is how, and you can press escape key, that will open the menu. Press this enter key and go to this exit. You see exit option is here, and you can exit from this. So this is a text based browser. So I just demonstrated this opening of websites using browsers. Then LFTP to access URLs. Original FTP client software was basic command line text oriented client application that offered a simple but efficient interface. Most web browsers offer a graphical interface and can also be used as FTP client. Any FTP client allows you to view directory tree and files. Using FTP as a client is very easy. You can use FTP command to connect to a server such as ftp.redhat.com with this command ftp.redhat.com. But the problem is FTP client is not installed by default on RHEL 7 and RHEL 8. That's one reason why LFTP is better. It automatically attempts an anonymous login without prompting for a username or password. It also supports command completion, which can be especially help to access the files and directories with longer names. LFTP. There's a risk. There are risks with most FTP clients as they transmit data in clear text. But as long as the usage of this command is limited to public servers with anonymous access, the risk is minimal. After all, you use LFTP to download Linux packages from public servers. It's not like you are putting any private information at risk. To be sure, there are other security risks with such clients, but Red Hat developers are constantly working to keep the client up to date. If the risks are acceptable, then LFTP command can be used to log in to FTP server where the username and passwords are enabled. For example, LFTP ftp.example.org and as username. Almost all commands from FTP prompts are run at remote host similar to telnet session. You can run regular shell commands from that prompt. Just start the command with exclamation mark. And these are some of the commands lftp ftp.redhat.com. Let me demonstrate this and other utility also. So I'm trying sftp first. sftp ftp.redhat.com. If it is connected, it will show me what all files I have and I can get any files if anonymous access is allowed. At the same time, I am trying to access from tester machine sftp server1.example.com and is asking me the password. Red Hat is my password and I'm connected. I can use ls command to see the files, and you see the fastwd file was there and test file I just created in this session only, and names.txt I created. So let me get these files. Get names.txt and I got the file. Get fastwd file and it got the file. So if you want to get the directory, you can try with mget. So ls command will display all the files, and if you want to display the local files, you can type ls, the exclamation mark. Similarly, to quit from here, lftp works the same way. lftp and server1.example.com. lftp is not installed, so let us install it. sftp is there, lftp is there. You can use either of the two, no issues. And now let's try the lftp command. Now we are connected and use the ls command to see the list. sftp was quite fast if you notice. I'm connected to my server1.example.com using lftp right now, and this is still working, so I don't want. So I just demonstrated some of the commands, lftp or fftp. If you want to try, you can type help command and you'll see all these commands. I demonstrated few of them. Some of the commands for FTP are cd to change the current working directory at the remote host, ls to list the files at remote host, get to get single file from the remote host. I demonstrated this. mget will get the multiple files from the remote host with wildcard or full names. Put to upload a file from your computer to the remote host. Mput to put multiple files, to upload multiple files. pwd current working directory on the remote host. Quit, end the session. Exclamation mark local directory on your local system. Exclamation mark cd lcd change the local host directory for upload or download. Exclamation mark pwd working directory on the local machine. So these are some of the commands for FTP. And that's all for this session. I'm sure you enjoyed the session. The session was brought to you by skillpedia.co, and my mobile number is given here. For any questions, you can WhatsApp me on the same number. This is an Indian number, and if you require any training on RSCSA or RSCE, most welcome. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.